with that person that sits up there in the, Chocolate City up there in D.C. And apparently after we went through all this stuff, Mueller has come out and said, hey, there was no Russian coordination. They didn't do anything together. Now, I do understand that he's not totally out of the water, that there's some other investigations going on, but of course he's trying to turn the table on those others that might be investigating him, including some folks from New York and other stuff. And then, of course, it doesn't help that one of those people got themselves into trouble with Nike. So that being the person that was connected with Stormy Daniels and her attorney. So I was just wondering what you think about the fact that so far they're saying that nothing happened.
Does it surprise you?
No, I was kind of expecting that.
Okay, because some people are kind of pissed that you're very well. And what I want to know is, hell with that, because all of that stuff right there, people paying attention to it, it doesn't affect me in any kind of way, honestly. I want to know what laws just got passed or what is about to be imposed on the American people while they diverted your attention to pay attention to this garbage. What did they do that's really going to affect us on the back end? And they said, oh, by the way, now you must do this or you won't be able to do that. So, I said that the other day, and they were like, well, he's going to get another 4 years. I was like, that's not guaranteed. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So unless y'all got some clairvoyant powers, use it for good and tell me what the hell the Powerball numbers are going to be, because that drawing's about to be $750 million. You know what I'm saying? Let me know what those numbers are. I could care less about the Mueller investigation. Nobody's going to jail. Nobody was going to jail any damn way. So that part right there doesn't surprise me, doesn't hurt my feelings that, they didn't tell us or whatever it may be, because they weren't going to tell us anyway. We're not privy to all of those conversations that they are the masters of. We just kind of go with the flow and hope that things turn out in a favorable fashion so that we don't look like the dummies at the door that can't get in the club because we have no money. You know what I'm saying?
That's very true. That is very true, man. That's what we. Oh, I just heard a doorbell. But by the way, you just mentioned those numbers before we get to that doorbell, because I don't usually do this, but you said the magic number. It was $750 million. So I did more powers or is able to make magic happen. I just want them to call out 13, 14, 18, 26, 53, and 17, because that's what the computer generated as my numbers. So I'm putting my numbers out there. If anybody can make that happen.
But see, here's what now somebody just wrote those numbers down, right? And they're gonna listen to the replay tomorrow, and you're gonna have like 7 winners. Man, you got to share your money now. You're supposed to keep that secret. But we're gonna get.
I know I'm supposed to keep it secret, but those numbers were too close together. So I think I'm gonna buy one more. They're gonna be the real actual winning numbers. Because when I saw these numbers, they were too close together. So I really don't expect to win, but they might fool me. And if they fool me, and then I get 7 other people calling, it's $750 million. I don't mind splitting it with a few people.
All right. You heard it here first on Straight Talk with Dana Marr. We'll be with our guest in 1 second.
The old Renaissance is the new Renaissance, standing on tradition while embracing the spirit of distinction. This is the Harlem Brewing Company. Uniquely crafted beer brewed to deliver a taste, a sound, and a feeling that can only be described in one way: Harlem style. So come and take a trip on the A train with our Harlem Sugar Hill Golden Ale
and we are back. We are bringing our guest in. Thank you for calling Straight Talk with Dana Mark. You are on the line. Tell us who you are and where you're calling from.
Hey, this is Julius Tillery. I'm calling from Garysburg, North Carolina, home of the Black Cotton Office.
All right.
Well, we definitely appreciate you calling, Julius. I've always been trying to get you on for a while now, so I'm glad that we have finally caught up and are able to get you on. Hey, Dean, Mr. Tillery here is doing some amazing things. We've had in the past some farmers on the show and some people that are definitely about the agricultural industry and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Tillery has got some land, some massive land, and he's got some cotton on that land along with some other products and everything. But, he's trying to find uniquely ways to make some money off of that cotton. So he's turned this cotton into, not just the regular things that you do with cotton, clothes and things of that nature, but he's also made it into, what I call some artwork, because he's actually got some real fancy displays that he sells and everything. So he is doing some amazing things with his company and everything. So I want Mr. Tillery to tell us about that and everything. But before he got on the line, we were teasing, yes, and I did put my numbers out there because I don't expect to win. But I just want to know, if you win $750 million, Mr. Tillery, are you going to put it back in the farm, or are you going to go on some extravagant trip?
Oh, I'm going to have one of the flyest farms you can ever imagine. It's going to be like an amusement park if I win $750 million. You can bet that.
I hear that.
So you're going to have you're going to have rides there, you're going to have Ferris wheels, it's going to have all kinds of stuff. It's not going to be your average farm.
Yeah, it's gonna make like a whole lot of lists. Like, just the coolest place to ever go to.
I know that's right. So, nice. Mr. Tillery, tell us how you got involved with Black Cotton. Like I said, I know that your family is into farming, so you grew up among farmers, so you know what's happened with the loss of our lands and things of that nature. So I just want to know how you got into farming and how you think we're doing in terms of supporting our farmers. Because like I said, every time I talk to people, they're usually complaining that we know big farms are doing well. They're making tons of money off the big farms, but the small family farm, not as well. And our farms, not as well, because a lot of times we lost our land because we didn't understand generational wealth and the importance of that land that we had. So I just want to know how you got involved in farming, how you got involved in Black Cotton. If you just want to share with us a little bit of the story growing up as to how you got involved in farming, and also what you see as this new direction that you're taking.
I'm a lifelong farmer. My father's a farmer, and his father's a farmer, and his father was a farmer before him. So it's just like the industry that we into with our land. And so I've always farmed, but I really didn't look at it as a business. I just looked at it as something that we did, like a chore. Like, if you had a farm, you just worked it. That's what most people did. But I understand, like, growing up and seeing how hard it is for our African Americans to hold on to this, farmland and family farms. It's just it became a passion of mine to, like, try to help other farmers. So, and from helping other farmers and being an advocate, I realized for the best role I can help my community is to make a successful business, because I'm from a poor community in the state. So I wanted to make a successful business, and I'm not saying I'm there yet, but I'm inspiring people with my business, which is Black Cotton. And Black Cotton is a concept that I came up with because I wanted to add value to my cotton. I initially thought it was going to be clothing, and I thought I was going to just easily turn my cotton into textiles, but it's really not that easy, and it's a lot of money involved in that process. That's why most farmers don't have their cotton going specifically to a textile company. Then most farmers sell to a co-op, and then the co-op deals with the manufacturers, the processors, and all that stuff. So, I've always been a part of the co-op system. Where my family has always been part of, selling to the cotton gin, and the gin, take care of the business in some kind of fashion. And we get some money back for the cotton. But I felt like we're not making enough money back for the cotton. Like, I look in clothing, like, I always grew up and said, why is clothing so expensive? Where I know us working in the cotton fields, we're not making that much money from cotton. So I've always thought, like, I need to be a part of the value chain process. And once I realized what's required from it, I found this to be the leanest way for me to participate and get my cotton directly into customers' hands. And that's through decorations and accessories that are handmade in my Black community with Black workers. I'm really focusing on the Black control, and it's something I believe in, because my Black community is struggling. I want to change that through business.
Yeah, definitely, because I remember growing up in Warrenton, which is a small town as well, and a small rural town. We would sometimes have, that was more of a tobacco town. I think there might have been some cotton up there as well, but definitely I just remember the kids when I was growing up in the late 70s, and even when my brother was going to school later, but he actually went to school down here for the majority of his school. But I remember kids getting out because they were going to get out for being able to pick the cotton and pick the tobacco and things of that nature. So I remember I was in the city limits, and there was only a few of us students in the early part of the school year because everybody else was out there working, because that was part of the nature of what you did, and the school system understood that. So they understood that part of the schools were not going to be as full as they might be later on in the year, because folks are going to be out there helping their families, because it's definitely a family-run business, whether it's tobacco, whether it's cotton, whether it's peanuts, whatever the product is. So we know that it's oftentimes a family-owned business. And I'm sure you probably, even though you're younger than me, probably had a similar kind of thing where your folks were pulling you or having you out there working the fields, and then they let you go to school.
Well, you know, when I was born in 1986. I feel like the agriculture game changed to what it is now, the modern agriculture. Like, you know how basketball became modern basketball, like maybe in the 70s, the 80s? I feel like agriculture became modern agriculture in the 80s. Like, I've never seen hand-picked cotton in my life. And I understand the system because I've worked with people, my dad and my grandfather, and they'll tell me how it went, but I never seen it myself, you know, hand-picked cotton. So, like, a lot of people from our region, we stopped working in agriculture in the 80s because we had the harvesters and less people wanted to be in agriculture. Then you had the whole bigger is better, and farmers was buying other farmers' land and stuff, and everybody's trying to get bigger. So I was born and I've seen a lot of the transformation of agriculture to what it is right now. So, like, someone like you might know about the old ways of agriculture, but you might not participate in the modern day of agriculture, and you might be lost in how things is run today compared to how they worked in yesteryears, if that makes any sense.
No, that makes a lot of sense, and I can definitely understand that. I mean, things are always changing on a consistent and regular basis, and we know that a lot of times the way that things were done, whether it was in my generation or whether it was in people's generation back in the Great Depression or different other generations, that there's always changes in the agriculture game. And you just mentioned earlier about the high cost of clothes and everything. That's something that has always amazed me, because you're right. I know for a fact that a lot of what the cost of doing these things is not nearly the cost of what we're paying for our whether it's the Air Jordans, but now the Air Nikes, or whether it's some of the other on the shoe side, or whether it's some of these fancy clothes that we're paying high end for, because you know they're inflating the cost in all kinds of different ways. So we know that that shirt that we're paying not astronomical, but some decent amount for, the actual cost of producing it might have only been pennies on the dollar.
Well, I can tell you right now what farmers are getting on each T-shirt that you buy, and it's basically about 40 cents.
Wow.
Pretty much, yeah, like 40 cents, because like it takes about half a pound of cotton to make a T-shirt, and half a pound of cotton is 40 cents. You know, so that's just something that we need to think about, and when we shop and like why this stuff costs so much, like I think Hilfiger and Ralph Lauren and these mega people, they're the furthest things from the cotton fields. Who are why can't we change the game where the people who are the closest to the cotton field can make the most money? That's kind of
yeah, you're doing a good job with that too. Because like I said, it's amazing how you're doing that, because you're just doing some amazing things. Now, who are you selling to mostly with the black cotton? Because I know I've seen you at events in Durham, like at some festivals, and of course at the BU, places like that. But I just wonder, how are you marketing this whole product, and how much of the cotton that you're growing is going into the product? Because like I said, you have some very big farmland, so I imagine that it all can't be going into this kind of boutique, artistic kind of ways that you're doing cotton. So I imagine some of it's got to be going into other things as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, like 99% of my cotton is in the conventional cotton game, and pretty much 1% of my cotton goes into this black cotton thing. So the customers I mostly sell to are like home decorators, people who want to buy items with a social conscious, people who just want unique gifts, interior decorators, florists, people who care about, you know, flowers. Really diverse. I'm selling it really across the nation. I've sold more than 30 states now. It's pretty much like somebody with a product.
Yeah, and what are some of the ways that you get into the with the other 99%? Because like I said, you just mentioned it earlier, it's not easy to get into some of these big companies and everything, particularly coming out of rural North Carolina. So what are some of the ways that you're trying to break into the bigger game, or what are some of the ways that your family has broken into the bigger game, if y'all have had luck with that, or is that still an ongoing struggle with some